Dear students, thank you very much. As you know, in my previous lecture, I have told you about the story of the first lesson of English prose of 11th class, of 12th class, A Girl with a Basket. Tomorrow, I will teach you the detail and explanation of this lesson. As I have told you in my story that in this lesson the writer W.C. Douglas came India during the partition between India and Pakistan. The writer W.C. Douglas came to India to see the political and social condition of the country. He wanted to know about the feelings of the people about their country. In this way, when he came to India, he started his journey from Delhi to Ranikhet, so that he could know about the country and about the people of India. So now I start the lesson, A Girl with a Basket, the detail. I hope you will attentively hear my lecture. I had left New Delhi for Himalayas. I was going as far as Bareilly by train and then by car to Ranikhet, an old British Army hill station located on a 6,000-foot ridge opposite a 120 miles stretch of snow-capped Himalayas. When the writer reached New Delhi, he started his journey from Delhi to Himalaya. I was going as far as Bareilly by train and then by car to Ranikhet. The writer W.C. Douglas started his journey by train to Bareilly and then by car to Ranikhet. Ranikhet is a hill station which is situated at the top of the hill near about 600 foot. Right opposite, which is opposite 120 miles stretch of snow-capped Himalayas, it is situated in front of the Himalayas. Which is 120 miles stretch of snow-capped Himalayas, and this hill station is covered with the snow. The train was slow and it stopped at all the way station. The train through which the writer was making his journey, it was a passenger train. It was a passenger train and it stopped at every railway station. At every stop, I soon opened the door of my compartment and walked the platform. When the train stopped at the station, the writer opened the door of the compartment and came down at the platform to talk with the people. The platforms were packed with people: Sikh, Muslim, Hindu, soldiers, merchants, priests, porters, beggars, hawkers. The platforms of the stations were filled with all kinds of people, in which there were Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christians, beggar, porters, priests, and merchants. In this way, the whole the platform was filled with all kinds of people. Almost everyone was barefooted and dressed in loose white garment. The people who were at the platform had not shoes in their feet. They were totally barefooted. Their garments were also not good because the condition of the people was not good. They were very poor in those days. Since the partition was declared between India and Pakistan, so the people were facing great difficulties in those days. So they have not good garments. I would ask at least 3 people before I could find one who spoke English. The writer wanted to talk to the people, to know about the country of India, but hardly he could find one people who could speak English well. He talked near about 3 people. Then he found one man who could speak English. In this way, I was trying to get a feel of pulse of the nation, checking opinion against official attitude and reports. Now, what was the purpose of the writer in talking to the people? He wanted to know the feelings of the people about their country by talking to them. And what are the feelings of the people about their officers and about their nation. The route lay through one of the richest of India's agricultural state. The route through which the train was going from Delhi to Bareilly, the area through which he was making his journey was very richest area of the country, because it was agricultural area. There were good crops in the fields. So it looks that these are the very richest area of the country. This was the plain of the upper Ganga river, 1,000 foot above the sea level but tropical. This area was the plain area of the upper Ganga, and it was above 1,000 feet above from sea level, and this area was 1,000 feet above from the sea level, and it was the hot area of the country. The Ganga was brown silt. In those days, the Ganga was filled with mud and dust, mud and soil, swollen with flood water. And in those days, there was flood in the river Ganga. Its overflow inundating thousands of acres of rice. And by the flood of the river Ganga, the 1,000 acres of the rice was covered with water. To the north were jungle, great expanses of grass higher than a man's head. So in this way, most of the area of the rice was flooded by the water of the Ganga, and to the north area there were great forests, and in those forests there were big grasses which were higher than the head of the man. And unbroken except for an occasional clumps of tree. And there were groups of the trees also. The home of tigers, elephants, pythons and cobra. So since there were large forests and groups of the trees, and in those forests and groups of the trees there were tigers, elephants, pythons and cobra. These wild animals had made their home in those forests. They lived in those forests because the forests were very thick and dense. Everywhere else there was flat land running to the horizon. The land was flat and fertile, but dotted here and there by the sacred banyan trees or by row of paca trees. But dotted here and there by the sacred banyan trees. And besides the road, besides the railway stations, there were long rows of sacred banyan trees and paca trees. And shaped like ilm, the shape of these banyan and paca trees were like the ilm trees. They were shaped like the ilm trees and twisted, having thick twisted trunk, and their trunks were twisted with one another. Hot humid air was moving in from the southwest. From the southwest, the hot and wet air was blowing and coming to the compartment. Monkeys, some of them mother with babies, clinging to them and riding beneath. There were so many monkeys, and most of them were mother monkeys who had clinged their babies to their stomach. these monkeys were swinging in the branches from one tree to another. The villages we passed had wall made of mud mixed with water and cow dung. The villages through which the writer was making his journey, were made of mud and water and cow dung. Means the houses were not made of bricks or stones. The houses were not good in which the people lived in those days. The writer says that the houses were made of mud, water and cow dung. Their peaks roof were thatched bundle of grasses, and the roofs of the houses were thatched by the bundle of grasses and bamboos. Bundle of grass tied to bamboos pole stretched across the rafter. In this way, the roofs of the houses were not good and proper. The roofs were made by the bamboos and the bundle of grasses. That day the pumpkin vine that grew over them were in bloom, and in those houses the vines of the pumpkin were climbing, and those vines of the pumpkin were in bloom. Those vines had flowers in their plants, trailing streak of yellow over dry wall, and the flowers of these pumpkins were yellow. So these flowers looked that these flowers are making a line of yellow color, just as a line of yellow color is stretched over the walls, over the rough walls of those houses. In this way, in their whole journey, whatever the writer saw, that the condition of the Indian people was not good, their dresses are not proper and good, most of them are barefooted, and their houses are also not good and proper, and in their houses the vines of the pumpkins are covered over the roofs. Thus, today I stop our study, and I hope that you have understood. Thank you.